Your cybersecurity solution is here. Introducing Pentester's Advanced Cybersecurity Suite. Ready for peace of mind? Try it for free. No credit card required. Pentester.com.
I've been working with this guy, been sponsoring this guy forever, and really good guy. He's got a background though. He said, I'd like to hire him. They were just switching over. You used to have to do, for therapists and counselors, you used to have to do a background report.
My relationship with my father was completely different than my relationship with a guy like you. His mentorship and his things he taught me, got me put in prison. But he didn't know any better.
I was in a place called Hudson, not Mid-Hudson, Hudson.
Yeah, I know it.
It was a medium security place.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anthony Ruggiano Jr. I want to welcome everybody to Reformed Gangsters. And if you like our content, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. Also, I'd appreciate it if you become a Patreon member. The money I raise through Patreon, I pay for content and to make my channel better. So please help me along. Tonight, I have a very special guest. His name is Dan Callahan. He's been in the recovery business for many, many decades. He's one of my mentors. He's one of the men that changed my life, that got me into the treatment center business. He gave me my first job. He put me through school to become a counselor, and he has a great story. He's an author of 2 books. He has a new book out now, and I like to bring him on, and we all could have a conversation with him. Dan Callahan. So Dan, I just did the intro of for the podcast, and I introduced you as one of the men that changed my life for the better, that taught me a skill that I could actually earn a living on and not go to prison behind, and I need to thank you for that. I remember the day I got the call from Steve, Steve Sachs, when he called me and he asked me when I was living in Michigan if I wanted a job at this place called Solutions Recovery Center. And I said, a job doing what? And he goes, well, as a counselor. I said, a counselor? I said, what do I know about being a counselor? And he told me that he spoke to you, and because of my background, you and him felt I would make a good counselor. So, I just want to thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
So how did that work out?
It worked out well, but let me tell you the whole story though.
Yes, please do.
So Stevie comes to me one day and he goes, listen, I've been working with this guy, I've been sponsoring this guy forever. And really good guy. He's got a background though. He said, I'd like to hire him. And I said, all right. I said, well, back then they were just switching over. You used to have to do, for therapists and counselors, you used to have to do a background report.
Right.
But they weren't doing it anymore. And I said, well, we don't need a background report, but would he pass it? And he goes, yeah, you pass it. And I said, okay, then hire him,
Yeah. Yeah. He threw a little caveat. He said, but I had to go back to school. So I said, school. So I thought about it, and then I agreed. And, it was like probably the best decision that I made. And then when I came down and I met you all, we just hit it off so good. And you did put me through school, and I appreciate that. And, and now it's my profession. I've been doing it now for 10 years, because of you and Steve, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and you were good. I mean, I remember one day, I don't know if you remember this, but I go walking by your office and I see you looking like in a mirror, and you're standing there, and I go, are you all right, Joe? And you go, yeah, this damn kid, face, man. And I'm like, he goes, he doesn't know. And I go, yeah, I know. No.
Yeah, nobody knew that. It was probably Joey. Yeah.
No, it was another kid. It was a kid from Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, what's his name? The fisherman. Yeah. It's so funny because a lot of kids that drove me crazy at Solutions, Now, since I came out and I'm on the TV, they're finding me on Facebook. And if we would have only known, we would have never bothered you. We would have never broke your balls. It's so comical. They ask for you all the time. How's Dad? A lot of people from all over contact me through Facebook that, well, I think you were my counselor at Solutions. Did you ever work at Solutions? It's funny. But, I tell people because, my relationship with my father was completely different than my relationship with a guy like you. His mentorship and his things he taught me got me put in prison, but he didn't know any better. When I hooked up with you, that was the first time in my life I actually learned something that I could sustain my life on till I die. I mean, this is a business that we could stay in forever. We're not digging ditches. We're helping people and helping ourselves along the way.
Yeah. And it was for me. It was the same exact thing. I went through some similar stuff, not quite as spectacular.
But we were both in Elmira.
I was in Elmira, yeah.
Yeah, me too. But we have that in common.
Yeah, but that's where I started to really do different things with my life, or want to change anyway. Right. So I got my high school diploma in prison.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. I remember I was in a place called Hudson. Not Mid-Hudson, Hudson.
Yeah, I know it.
It was a medium security place, and a guy said to me, he goes, "Why don't you go to college?" And I looked, I was like, "I'm not. I mean, I didn't even pass high school. I never passed an English class in high school." So I said, I can't go to college. He goes, "Yeah, you should really try it. I think you'll do well." And I did. I took 2 courses and I loved it. And I was like, wow, I guess I am smarter than I thought. So, but all that I worked through. And a couple of years ago, I got my doctorate.
I know. I know. I remember when you started that journey in Solutions.
Yeah, that's right.
I remember you started that journey in Solutions. Yeah, that's great. And what helped me too is that we were all in recovery, so we all had some identity. And that's what I look. That's when I see guys like that. The time that like we were both in Elmira, and yet you made something out of yourself. Now you wrote 2 books. I hear you have another book out. You authored another book.
Yeah. I just actually did another book on, believe it or not, on the legalization and regulation of Schedule I drugs. So I call them non-medical use drugs. They used to call it recreational drugs, right?
Recreational drugs, yeah.
But if you really think about it, so when I went to prison in 1980, I don't know how many people were in prison, but it's about a tenth of what it is today. So our prisons are like packed with people with drug offenses. Half of the people, more than 50% of the people in prison today are in for non-violent drug offenses. I think it's 53%.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. We spend all this money. Is that the war on drugs isn't working? It hasn't worked. Nobody from the left or the right can look, anybody themselves in the mirror and say, this is working. It doesn't.
Exactly.
So they got to do something different. And just like they did with alcohol, legalize it, regulate it. They can control, all these people, these kids that are dying today of fentanyl poisoning, right? Fentanyl overdose. They're not going to die from that.
No, because they're not going to get it in the street. They're not going to be buying it off someone on the street corner.
Exactly. The violence, the cartel violence, that goes away for the most part. I mean, well, they still gonna, do crazy stuff. Probably, criminal. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But not at the, I heard a stat the other day. Pharmaceutical drugs, big pharma, $3.2 trillion a year. Street drugs, 3.3 trillion. Street drugs.
More. Yeah. More. That's crazy. That's nuts.
It really is. So, and then I was listening to actually Joe Rogan the other day. He had Taylor Sheridan on, and they were talking about, well, maybe it wouldn't, maybe it wouldn't stop all the overdoses. But what they don't realize is that, and you know this as well, from the detox side of things, people aren't dying from heroin overdoses. They're dying from heroin and fentanyl. And let's just say the fentanyl's there before fentanyl really hit. They weren't dying from heroin overdoses. They were dying from benzodiazepine, heroin, and alcohol. It was a mixture that was killing them. So, with some education and regulation, I think it could change. Will they do it? I can't imagine them ever doing it, but.
I mean, it's something for them to think about. I mean, they're legalizing everything else. I mean, but it's all, they're creating sports betting addicts. I mean, you got to look at the flip side. Instead of them like going with your theory, they're creating a bigger mess. Listen, I went to jail for bookmaking. It's an addiction. I went to jail for bookmaking. You know it as well as I know. It's just another addiction. It's just no chemicals involved. Now it's legal. You got people in the Midwest and all these rinky-dink towns that none even know who a bookmaker was. They're betting. So instead of them helping, they're helping the situation. They're creating a situation.
Yeah, they think by sticking a 1-800 gambler.
Yeah, big fucking deal. Yeah, 1-800. Yeah, like that's going to stop somebody from bet. Listen, and what it's doing is, so you got these kids, like even my own son. You got these kids. Oh, I only bet $20 a day, $10 a day on prop bets, a sucker bet. They invented all these prop bets. Yeah, $20 a day is 140 a week. 140 a week times 4 times 56 weeks, whatever the weeks of the year. How much is that at the end of the year?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And come Super Bowl time and some of the bigger times, even with the fights, they throw more money at it.
Of course. What do you think about this marijuana maintenance treatment centers and all this other stuff that's happening? This ketamine treatment centers and all this stuff.
Yeah. The ketamine, I don't know about the treatment centers portion of it, but the ketamine I can understand because I really believe that the psychedelic there's something to the psychedelics that can help, that really pulls people out of, especially people with PTSD and major depression. But there needs to be some kind of,
some kind of a little regulation to it, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about all this Suboxone, all this sub-maintenance stuff that's going on now too in the treatment centers?
Yeah, I've never been look, whatever it takes to keep somebody alive,
right?
I vote for. Would I want that for myself, or would I want that for my son or somebody I love? I would encourage them to really to go full abstinence.
Right. Me too.
Some people just for now can't. I know a guy, 5 years he was on Suboxone.
Yeah.
And like that, he decided I'm done, and he didn't even detox. I was like, you didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, he just went cold turkey, which I don't ever recommend to anybody.
No, me neither. No, definitely not.
But the guy and the guy's clean now, probably 10 years. So
wow, it's amazing. That's a miracle. Yeah, I mean, I'm working in this detox now, and what I see in there breaks my heart, man. It's horrible. It's horrible. What's going on? It's not like it was when I worked for you. It got worse.
Yeah,
it got worse. Crazy. It got worse. I miss Solutions. You know what? I still have the shirt. I should have wore it tonight. I still got the T-shirt Solutions. Remember the T-shirts you had made? I still got, and I got the Zen shirts too. My son wears the Zen shirt in New York. Yeah. Those were fun days, but I pass by the building all the time. I go down Lyons because I work out in the LA Fitness right near where the last building we had was.
Yeah.
I pass it all the time, and I think of working in there. All the people
I went through there the other day. Yeah, we were there the other day.
Yeah. So what are you doing? What are you up to now? The cybersecurity?
Yeah. So we sold Zen charts. We did pretty well with it. It was a good time for us to get out, and we but the group that bought it, was going to take it somewhere else. somewhere bigger than we were, and so we were kind of happy and proud about that. But I invested into, it's called Pen Tester. Well, I'll tell you the story.
Let me hear it.
So we're in our office, in Boca.
Yeah.
And one day this kid comes to the door. He comes in. He goes, "Is Rick here?" And I said, "No, he'll be in a little bit." He goes, "I'm Ryan." I go, I know who you are. I trained him. He was from the recovery center. I had trained the whole place, and for Zen.
Yeah.
I know who you are. I said, "Yeah, he'll be here in a little bit. He's usually here already." But so he hangs out for a bit. Rick comes in. He goes into Rick's office. They're in there all day. I'm not, they're just talking. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The next day, kid comes back. He goes, "Is Rick here?" I said, "No, he'll be back. He'll be here in a minute." 2 weeks later, the kid's there every single day. Right? And Rick comes in. He goes, "Hey, we're going to move Liam out of the middle office. We're going to put him into the office next to you, and Ryan's going to take this office in the middle." I said, "All right." I said, "Why?" He goes, "I don't know. We're going to do some work together." I said, "All right."
Yeah.
That was the start of Pentest.
That was the start of the company. All right.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. Hey, listen, that's how they start, right?
Yeah. And the kid is this guy. I call him a kid. He's 30 years old.
Well, he's a kid.
He's a kid to us.
Me and you, we're old, man. We're old.
This kid is he's like Google. Like if I don't even go to Google. I just walk in there and go, "Hey, Ryan."
Yeah. If you enjoy my show, please join my Patreon. Ask your questions live, and please join my Patreon at reformgangsters.com. It's amazing, these kids. It's amazing that with these kids. I mean, when I think when I was that age, I mean, my daughter gets on a computer. I say, "How do you know how to do that?" She goes, "I don't know. I just know." I mean, what do you mean you just know? It's crazy. Yeah, I know really, your son's like that. Your son Sean's like that. I used to watch him with the 2 screens, and I used to get dizzy just looking at him.
Yeah. Yeah. They're still the same way, and they're the same as back then. I don't know if you remember. I'd go into their office. They'd be in there typing, doing their thing, and I start to talk, and they just keep going.
Keep typing, yeah.
And then I talk, and they just keep going. And about 10 minutes later, you look up, and he goes, "What?"
Well, yeah, I know. He used to do that to us too when we worked for him. Yeah. I think the company Lightning Step, Zen?
Yes.
That's who I work with. That's what I have now at my detox, Lightning Step.
Okay, yeah, that was
because when they came in to train us, they asked what we worked on. So I said I worked for the founder of Zen, right? And she goes, "Oh, well, we bought Zen." I said, "Oh, really?" And then I worked on Kipu, and I worked after you, and I went to work at other treatment centers. I worked on Kipu, Zen, and now Lightning Step. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like Zen. It's not big. Yeah. I
think they merged them or something.
Yeah, that's what she said. I said, "What? So if you have this company, why'd you buy Zen?" She goes, "Because we don't want anybody else to buy it. We don't want no more competition." Yeah, that's what she told me. Yeah,
I think that's true.
I told her, I said, "Well, if you have this company already, what did you need Zen for? Where's Zen?" She goes, "Well, we incorporated it. We don't want nobody else to get their hands on it." Yeah. But I always talk highly of everybody asks me, "How did I get into this business?" And I tell them about the call, and I came to Florida, and the people I worked with were amazing, and you and Rick and Sean. I mean, you saved my life. I don't know what I would have done, because when I decided to leave New York, and I was living in Michigan, the government, when they, and it was so hard, not telling you who I really was, but I always knew you had a suspicion. You know what I mean? But when I worked for you, I was still under contract with the government, and I really couldn't say nothing because I could have violated my contract. Because when I used to leave, a lot of times when you used to give me off to go to New York, I had to go up there and testify. Okay. So a lot of times I even had to say, like my mother, I had to go see my mother, but I had to go up there to testify. So I was under contract. I couldn't reveal myself until I could, But Stevie knew all the time because he'd sponsored me for over 20 years when I met you. But my relationship with you definitely changed my life. Believe me. I don't know where I would be now. You know, after when I was in Michigan and I told them I was coming to Florida, originally they gave me a hard time, the government, because they were afraid for my safety. And I said, listen, when you're done with me, I was 60 years old when I went to work for you. When I first met you, I was 60 already. I said, I'm 60 years old. What am I going to do with my life? At least I have an opportunity to go to school to learn a trade that I could support myself with. And that trade has been in my life now for 10 years. I got a roof over my head because of what I learned through you, through solutions.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Like, who would ever thought I would be able to do a biopsychosocial? Are you kidding me? I couldn't even spell a 4-letter word. I'm doing, people laugh. I say, I know how to do biopsychosocials. They look at me like, yeah, I know how to do. Dan Callahan, Dr. Lindsay taught me, you taught me. Yeah. Paint the big picture. It's got to, treatment plans. And now I'm just the tech at the detox, and they offer me be a count. I don't, now I'm already 70. They want me to be a counselor, and I help. They come. It's strange because I learned so much through you and solutions, and throughout the years that now the supervisors come to me and ask me what they should do. What they should do. What should we do? We had a Baker Act the guy the other day. Unfortunately, he was punching himself and punching the walls, and so the supervisor's like on the fence trying to talk him down, and I go, you got to Baker Act this guy. I said, there's no talking this guy down. He's punched himself in the face. He's screaming. He's crying. He's having a psychotic episode, And finally they go, oh yeah, you're right, and they Baker Acted the poor bastard.
Wow.
Yeah. So what are you doing moving forward, Dan? Before we say goodbye, what's up? The book is out. The book is published.
Yeah, the book is out. It's I love the name. It's called From Taboo to Tolerated: The Journey of Legalizing Non-Medical Use Drugs.
It's on Amazon. It's on everything. It's being
sold on Amazon. Yeah, but this one is a recovery. This is my newest recovery book.
What's it?
I like it a lot. I call it Successful Living Life with Purpose Recovery Mode. And it's not necessarily for somebody that's just getting sober. It's for somebody, it's okay for them.
Right.
But it's really, I geared it more towards, so for me personally, I was sober 10 years, right? And and I just felt like I was kind of trudging, And so I heard, I got this tape in the mail. Remember back, I don't know if you remember this, Nightingale Conant.
Sure.
I got a Tony Robbins tape and I got a Earl Nightingale tape.
Yeah, I know them well. Yeah.
Yeah, and they send this card. They say, you can take these tapes if you want. You don't have to pay for them. And in 30 days, if you like them, you keep them and you pay. So I was like, all right. So I took them. I was back in the Walkman day, and I used to jog. And I started listening to it, and it started really clicking and making sense to me. So it helped me shift from like the self-help model to a self-improvement model. So I started stop worrying about what's wrong with me and why, I started really focusing on getting better and being a better human being and what's right with me, those types of things. So really being positive and focused on my goals. And now, heck, I'll be sober 36, so there's 26 years ago.
Yeah, right.
I can tell you this: it's a way better life to live that way than it is to always be, focusing on what the hell's wrong. So
yeah, I know. I have that issue too.
No, that's what we built solutions around. We really wanted to teach people about really, taking control of their recovery and taking control of their life and heading in the right direction,
Yeah, no, out of all the treatment centers I worked in, Solutions definitely had the best program. You had it right. You definitely, with your PowerPoints, remember the things the presentations used to teach us? No, that you listen, I'm telling you, people still reach out to me that were there. I don't want to mention their names because it's not, they still reach out to me, and it's comical. Some of them know me, and some of them they ask me, "What you?" But I hope, I'm sure people need to read that book. I'm sure it's going to make changes in their lives. It's, whoever would have thought you would be an author.
I know.
Right?
I'm telling you, I was a senior in high school. I was in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade English.
Yeah. Is it helping you in the casino, that book? Have you been to the casino lately?
No, I haven't gone.
No, they got dice tables there now. Be careful. They got dice tables and live roulette now in the casinos.
That's what Rick likes. Rick likes the
dice.
I haven't been there in years. Yeah.
You haven't been down to the Hard Rock? No, because I know you used to go once in a while. No? What
No,
about your son and Rick? Have they made any trips down there?
I don't think so. I don't think
that's
they go
good.
down. Yeah. I used to go because I could smoke a cigar down there, and
Yeah, I know.
Stuff.
How's your golf game?
I'm playing better. I'm playing better. Yeah, slowly.
How's my friend, Mr. Angry?
Who?
Kevin. How's Kevin?
Oh,
Mr. Angry.
Yeah, he's doing really well. It's funny.
Good.
I talked to him. He says he just had his knee replaced.
Oh,
and he's doing well with it. But the funny thing is, I get a phone call from Kevin one night, and he goes, I'm going to send you a YouTube video. He goes, after you get it, I want you to call me back after you watch it. I go, all right. I'm like, I go, what is it? He goes, I want you to watch. He sends it to me, and it's you.
Yeah.
The first one that you guys did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I knew it.
Yeah, I knew there was something up with that. That's why I used to tell these kids, you should only know what I'm thinking right now. I want to stick this pencil in your eye right now. Son of a bitch, you're driving me crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I know. Who was your mentors growing up? I mean, how did you get to this point in your life?
Wow, that's a tough one.
I know you always talk about your father a lot. That your father was. I know. I remember when I was working in solutions. I know you used to talk to me about your father a lot.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. Is my dad. Most people don't know this, but Long Island, New York, is the #1. They have more volunteers per capita than anywhere else in the world. Volunteers. My parents were volunteers. My father was a volunteer fireman for 60 years before he passed. Yeah, and so it's loaded. The whole Long Island is loaded like that. And so we really had. He raised us to be given back. You know what I mean? So even when I went through my bad times and stuff, I always had that sense of that there was more to life, and that I needed to kind of fulfill my obligation to life. So I think my dad was #1 in that area.
Yeah. And I get this question a lot. People ask me what advice I would give someone today struggling with addiction, and you're probably better versed at answering that question than me. What would you say to them?
I guess I would really ask them questions. The #1 question I would ask is, are you happy where you're at?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And do you really want to be happy? And we ask that question in group all the time, right? And I've never seen anybody not put their hand out and say, how many people want to be happy in this room? I've never seen anybody not put their hand up. So I'm gonna say we're lazy,
Yeah. Or sleeping.
Yeah. But that's it. I think that's the key. They need to, I think it's less about, we all talk about rock bottom, right? But it's really more about, where do I want to go? And is this going to pay off for me? And when they see guys like you and I, Joe, that have, we've,
hey, changed.
Yeah. Living in prison is it's not a happy,
No.
You got this stuff you got to prove all the time to get through it. And, and we can come out on the other side. So I've never shied away from telling people about my experiences because of that.
Me neither. Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. All right, Dan, listen, do me a favor. Text me the address to your office. I'm going to swing by maybe to say hello to everybody, all right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, text me the address. And Dan, thank you again. I appreciate everything you're doing for me. Man,
I love you, man.
I'd kiss you right on the lips if I could get my hands on you. All right, send me the address, all right?
You got it,
Thank you.
man.